The Sleep, Survival Horror Part 1 is an intense psychological horror film that immerses viewers in a nightmarish landscape where reality intertwines with psychological terror. The narrative unfolds in a modern-day American setting, tapping into the pervasive anxieties surrounding mass violence, mental health crises, and the isolating dread many experience in today's society. The film opens with a haunting montage of news clips documenting a succession of mass shootings, instantly plunging the audience into a community on the brink of collapse, inundated with violence and emotional turmoil. Phrases like mental health crisis echo throughout, reinforcing the film's unsettling atmosphere, which resonates with contemporary fears rather than mere fiction. Against this grim backdrop, we follow a group of high school students who are about to take part in a sleep study at a nearby research facility. Each teen, grappling with their own psychological struggles, sees the study as a way to earn extra credits, satisfy their curiosity, or escape from their troubled domestic situations. The research facility, characterized by its cold, stark environment, foreshadows the disturbing events to come. Upon arrival, the teens are stripped of their individuality, dressed in identical uniforms, and herded into a large dormitory-style room with minimal information provided by the researchers. Their stated aim to observe sleep behavior under stress leaves the teens anxious and apprehensive about what lies ahead as they exchange uneasy looks. As night falls, the atmosphere shifts dramatically. Strange dreams, unnerving sounds, and disturbing hallucinations begin disrupting their sleep. One girl awakens in terror, convinced she has seen a figure standing at her bedside, while others report nightmares so vivid that distinguishing between reality and dreams becomes increasingly challenging. As the study progresses, the horror escalates, the hallucinations grow stronger, and the group begins to have shared visions. They witness shadowy figures roaming the facility, discover eerie messages scrawled on walls, and endure nightmarish sequences of violence and despair. Moreover, they soon realize their situation is dire. The facility's doors are locked, communication with the outside world has been severed, and their researchers have mysteriously vanished. With fear and paranoia mounting, relationships within the group start to fracture. Distrust festers as accusations fly. One teen becomes convinced that another is causing their shared nightmares, believing there is an orchestrator among them. Meanwhile, another's mental state deteriorates to the point of catatonia, consumed by whispers of voices in the walls and visions of eyeless children. Ultimately, The Sleep, Survival Horror Part 1 weaves a potent commentary on psychological terror, isolation, and the fragility of the human mind under extreme stress, creating a gripping narrative that resonates with real societal fears. Amid relentless psychological distress, a group of teens uncovers old surveillance footage on a researcher's laptop that reveals previous test subjects enduring similar fates. The disturbing video shows some going mad while others mysteriously disappear, hinting that the experiment they are part of has been repeated with consistently grim outcomes. As the group delves deeper into the facility's mysteries, it becomes apparent that it may not merely be a sleep research center. Some speculate it serves as a cover for psychological torture funded by a clandestine pharmaceutical company, or possibly a government-sanctioned experimental nightmare. Blood-ridden symbols and cryptic Latin phrases discovered in hidden areas lend an air of the occult, suggesting that the horrors they face could have supernatural origins. Simultaneously, each teen's most profound fears begin to manifest in terrifying ways. One is plagued by visions of a mass shooting that resulted in their sibling's death, another grapples with memories of an abusive parent, while a third feels burdened by the guilt of a past mistake that cost someone's life. These fears morph into actual threats, malevolent entities that pursue, trap, and confine them within maddening rooms or looping dreams. In a desperate attempt to escape, one girl crawls into the ventilation system only to find herself in a confounding maze of hallways that defy logic. Time and space twist, lights flicker erratically, and doors appear in absurd places. Even apparent exits lead back to familiar traps, transforming the facility into a dynamic, malevolent presence that ensnares their minds. As the group shrinks, the survivors become increasingly desperate. One participant, nearing a breaking point, implores a camera for release, but no one responds. Another, overwhelmed by despair, contemplates suicide, believing it to be the sole escape from their torment. The film poignantly portrays the severe emotional consequences of their experiences, examining the collapse of mental states alongside the supernatural horror they endure. In the climax, the remaining survivors stumble upon a concealed chamber beneath the facility. Here they confront grotesque medical apparatus, symbols etched into the walls, and remnants of past subjects. Among the findings is a tattered document referring to a final phase of their experiment dubbed The Sleep. This stage is discovered to involve not dreams but the obliteration of consciousness, entirely merging sleep and death into an indistinguishable abyss. The chilling revelation drives home the dire stakes of their predicament as the line between waking life and eternal slumber blurs ominously. The Sleep, Survival Horror Part 1 unfolds with a group of teenagers participating in a school-sponsored trip to a research facility. Upon arrival, they find themselves in a sterile, dimly lit dormitory provided with cots and stripped of their personal belongings, which are replaced with plain sleepwear. The staff presents this as a study on sleep behavior and stress responses, but the atmosphere quickly shifts from benign to sinister. Initially dismissing the oddities as part of a quirky camp experience, things take a dark turn when the first night begins. One young participant soon experiences a horrifying nightmare filled with dismembered figures, waking up in terror. The other teens, initially skeptical, attribute her distress to anxiety. However, as more of them begin suffering from vividly disturbing dreams and witnessing shadowy figures near their beds, anxiety morphs into panic. Attempts to alert the staff prove futile. The doors are locked and the once familiar hallways appear transformed, leading to endless loops instead of the bathrooms or exits they expect. As they grapple with their increasingly oppressive surroundings, the teens realize they are utterly isolated from the outside world, unable to seek help or escape. The facility feels abandoned, and strange cryptic writings begin to materialize on the walls, phrases in Latin and scrawled messages in dark red that vanish upon close inspection. The climax of the narrative intensifies when one character makes the bold decision to enter a sensory deprivation chamber. This act embodies a desperate effort to confront the entity or force orchestrating the nightmare. Inside the chamber, their mind bombards with grotesque imagery, beloved friends morphing into monstrous forms, endless echoing corridors filled with anguished screams, and surreal visions of their own corpse being dissected. Just as they appear on the brink of mental collapse, the screen fades to black. The conclusion is intentionally ambiguous. The scene transitions to the exterior of the facility, which now appears eerily quiet and peaceful. A voiceover from a newscaster recounts the mysterious disappearance of several teenagers during their school trip and suggests that details of the incident have been cloaked in bureaucratic red tape and corporate silence. The final haunting image depicts the facility's door closing slowly on its own, leaving viewers in suspense. Through its layered narrative, The Sleep, Survival Horror Part 1 delves into psychological dread, supernatural paranoia, and societal collapse, exploring themes of trauma, guilt, and the tenuous boundary between reality and nightmare, skillfully going beyond conventional horror tropes. Participant. The journal details horrific experiences within the facility, including manipulation, psychological torture, and a sinister purpose behind the experiment. The writer describes a gradual descent into madness, suggesting that the experiments might be targeting their subconscious fears. This revelation strikes fear into the group, heightening their distrust of one another and deepening their isolation. In a desperate attempt to restore order, one of the boys attempts to lead a group discussion about their fears and experiences. He believes that confronting their nightmares collectively could help them regain a semblance of control. However, his efforts are met with skepticism and resentment. Many participants feel betrayed by their own minds, and as they recount their terrifying visions, they find that their experiences resonate too closely with one another, suggesting a shared psychosis orchestrated by the experimenters. As nighttime falls, the atmosphere becomes more oppressive. The faint echoing scream from earlier continues to haunt them, growing louder and more distressing. In this atmosphere of uncertainty, they become increasingly paranoid, suspecting that their fellow participants may not all be what they seem. They begin to consider the possibility that the facility is deliberately manipulating them, pitting them against each other by feeding on their fears and vulnerabilities. The missing girl's absence weighs heavily on the group, and the level of dread escalates when they glimpse a shadowy figure lurking at the periphery of their vision, always just out of focus. The line between illusion and reality blurs further as they question their own senses and decide who, if anyone, they can trust. In the chaos, they turn to each other for support, but the bonds of friendship fray quickly amid accusations, curses, and panic. In a decisive moment, they decide to confront the forces they believe are controlling their fate. They gather their remaining courage and form a plan to explore the upper levels of the facility, risking everything for a chance to find answers. This newfound determination represents a potential turning point, yet beneath the surface the tension simmers, dangerously close to an explosive breakdown as their psychological battles threaten to consume them entirely. They stand at the precipice of either unity or catastrophic collapse. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.